Amali always thought raising someone else's child in silence was an act of love. But the day little Zola screamed, "You're not my real mum!" In a crowded mall, everything shattered. That single scream uncovered a secret buried for 6 years, connected to a missing child, a forged identity, and a mother's silent war between guilt and love. What follows is a storm of accusations, heartbreak, and a courtroom moment that no one saw coming. It's a busy afternoon in a mall in Cape Town. People are shopping, laughing, going about their day. Amale, a calm and gentle woman, is walking hand in hand with her little girl, Zola. They look like any other mother and daughter, until something shocking happens. Zola suddenly stops, pulls her hand away, and shouts loudly, "You're not my real mum!" The words hit like thunder. Everyone nearby turns. The mall falls into silence. A few people gasp. A nearby mother starts recording the scene on her phone. Security guards rush over. Shoppers begin whispering, pointing, wondering what is happening. Amali doesn't speak. She doesn't run. She doesn't fight. She just stands there, her face pale, her body stiff, and her eyes full of fear. Not the fear of being caught doing something wrong, but the fear of something deeper, something hidden. She doesn't try to explain. Zola cries louder, calling for someone named Mama Lindiwe. Amale's silence only makes things worse. People start assuming the worst, that this woman kidnapped the child. The tension is sharp, almost painful. No one knows the truth yet, but everyone is ready to judge. In just seconds, a peaceful day turns into a nightmare, and Amali's world begins to fall apart, all because of one scream. Security guards quickly step in and hold Amali by the arm. People around are watching, filming, whispering. A woman in the crowd, angry and sure of what she saw, tells the guards that Amali must be a kidnapper. "That child screamed for help," she says. "Call the police now." Amali doesn't fight back. She doesn't yell or try to run. She just stands still, her eyes full of sadness, and something no one understands yet. Zola is crying harder now. Her voice is shaky but loud as she keeps yelling, "I want Mama Lindiwe!" She's my real mum. The name hangs heavy in the air. Amali doesn't say a word. She looks at Zola, heartbroken, but she still says nothing. People start to believe what they see, not what they know. It's a powerful scene. A small girl, a silent woman, and a name that changes everything. The police arrive fast. They ask questions, but Amali remains quiet. She won't answer when they ask, "Who is this child? Is she really yours?" Her silence only makes things look worse. To protect Zola, the police take the little girl to Child Protection Services while they try to figure out what's happening. Amali is taken to the station. Still, no answers. Someone sends the video to the news. Within hours, it's on TV and all over social media. Headlines flash, "Woman caught kidnapping girl in Cape Town Mall." People online start commenting, judging. Some call her a monster. Others wonder what the real story is. But the louder voice is the one of anger and fear. Amala is now in the middle of a storm. A woman who was just walking with her daughter is now seen as a criminal, and still she refuses to speak. The world wants answers. But Amali's silence is louder than ever. 6 years ago, during a terrible flood in a rural part of the country, Amale was working as a nurse. It was a time of panic and confusion. People were injured, families were separated, and help was slow. One day, a small baby girl was brought into the hospital. She had no name, no documents, and no family. She was hurt, cold, and all alone. The people who brought her in didn't know where she came from. Everyone was too busy trying to save lives, and the system couldn't keep up. Amali took care of the baby. She fed her, comforted her, and made sure she was safe. She reported the baby to the right offices and followed the proper steps. But because of the chaos, nothing moved forward. The file went quiet. No one claimed the baby. No family was found. Weeks passed. Amale kept checking, but there were no answers. Slowly, the baby became a part of her life. She named the little girl Zola. Amale did everything she could to make her feel loved and wanted. She even started the process to adopt her legally, but something always went wrong. The papers were delayed, the calls were ignored, and the system seemed to lose track of everything. It wasn't that Amala didn't try. It was that the system failed her. Over time, she stopped pushing. She chose to protect Zola in the only way she knew how, by keeping her close. No one knew the full story. Not her friends, not her co-workers. Amale lived with the secret because she thought it was safer that way. She believed the past was behind them. She thought love would be enough. But that forgotten moment, that lost baby, and that broken system would all come rushing back the day her child cried out in public, calling her a stranger. Just when the authorities are about to place Zola into foster care, a woman steps forward. Her name is Lindiwe Duma. She looks heartbroken, but determined. She tells the police and social workers that Zola is her daughter, the same baby she lost 6 years ago during the terrible flood. No one believes her at first, but then the DNA test comes back. It's a match. Zola is her biological child. Suddenly, everything changes. Lindiwe is not just any woman. She is well known across the country for her work as a social activist. She has spent years fighting for justice, helping people in poor communities, and speaking out for women and children. But behind her strong voice is deep pain. She lost her baby girl during the flood and never found her until now. And now that she sees her again, being raised by another woman, she is furious. Lindiwe tells the media that Amale stole her child. She calls her a liar and a criminal. Her anger is loud, and her grief even louder. She says Amale had no right to keep Zola. She says a real mother doesn't hide a child. People listen. Reporters follow every word. The story spreads fast. Amale becomes the villain in the public eye. Amale tries to speak, to explain her side. She talks about the hospital, the lost records, and how she tried to do everything the right way. But no one wants to hear it. Her quiet voice gets drowned out by the noise of judgment, anger, and gossip. To many, it looks simple. One woman lost a baby. Another took her and stayed silent for years. Emotions are high. The truth is there, but it's covered in pain, fear, and years of misunderstanding. The whole situation is like a fire, burning fast, burning deep. The situation spreads quickly across news channels and social media. Headlines paint Amala as a heartless woman who took someone else's baby and raised her in secret. Reporters use strong words like imposter and child thief. The mall video is shown again and again. Online, people start using hashtags like #stolenchild and #justice for Zola. Everyone seems to have an opinion, and most of them are harsh. Amali becomes a target. Strangers send hateful messages. People she once knew, neighbors, co-workers, even close friends, stop talking to her. They avoid her, like she's dangerous. The kindness she once received turns into cold stares and silent judgment. She is alone, hurt and confused, with no one to defend her. Zola is stuck in the middle of all this. She's just a child, but now she sees her face everywhere. She hears people calling Amale a liar. It's too much for her young mind. She starts pulling away from Amale. She forgets their bedtime songs. She no longer reaches out for hugs. She begins calling Lindiwe the other mum, but not with love, just with confusion. Everything feels upside down. Lindiwe, who waited years to find her child, is overjoyed to be reunited. But her joy doesn't last long. She thought Zola would run into her arms and call her mama, but that doesn't happen. Zola barely looks at her. Lindiwe tries to connect, to make up for the lost years, but Zola keeps her distance. Lindiwe starts to feel the pain too. Being the real mother doesn't mean the child remembers you. People watching from the outside are divided. Some say Amala is evil and deserves jail. Others say the system failed her and she only wanted to protect the child she loved. The truth is complicated, but the world wants simple answers. In the middle of the noise, a little girl is hurting and two women are losing everything they care about. Amali's new lawyer, a kind and smart man named Sibusiso, starts digging into her case. He believes there's more to it than what people are saying. He searches through old files, dusty records, and government reports. After days of searching, he finds something important. Years ago, Amali had actually filed a foster care report when she first took in baby Zola. The document proves that she didn't just take the child and disappear. She tried to do the right thing. But the paper was buried deep in the system. Someone at the department had ignored it or hidden it on purpose. The report was never processed. Amali had followed the rules, but the system failed her. This changes everything. Sibusiso knows it's not enough to tell people. They need someone who was there to back it up. That's when they find Kwezi, a retired social worker who used to work at the hospital. She remembers everything. She clearly recalls the day Amale brought the baby in. Kwezi confirms that Amale followed the proper steps, filled out the right forms, and waited for someone to respond. But nothing ever came back from the department. Kwesi had long believed something was wrong, but no one had asked her, until now. Kwesi agrees to speak out. She says Amali never hid anything. She was open, honest, and trying to care for a child no one else was helping. Her voice brings a fresh light to the case. It makes people think twice about all the hate Amali has been getting. Then something even more shocking is found. Sibusiso notices something strange in Zola's birth certificate. The names and dates don't match up. After checking closely, he discovers there had been a forgery. Someone had changed the document to erase where Zola came from. It wasn't just a mistake. It was done on purpose, like someone wanted Zola's past to disappear forever. Now it becomes clear. Amali didn't steal a child. She rescued a child who had been abandoned and forgotten. She tried to go through the right channels, but those channels were broken. People in power had failed her and Zola. The situation is not black and white. It's more complicated than anyone thought. This new information begins to change how the public sees Amali. Some people start to question everything they heard. Maybe she's not a criminal. Maybe she's someone who was let down again and again and still chose to love a child who had no one else. The truth is coming out, piece by piece, and it's not what the world expected. As more digging is done, surprising facts come out about Lindiwe's past. Years ago, she was a strong and brave social activist. She stood up for poor people and fought against unfair treatment, but not everyone liked what she was doing. Some powerful people felt threatened by her and wanted her to stop. Lindiwe received scary threats. They warned her that her family could be in danger if she kept speaking out. At the time, she didn't know who to trust, but she continued her work. Then came the flood. On that terrible night, when the floods hit, her daughter disappeared. Everyone thought it was just a sad accident, but now, investigators are finding clues that say otherwise. It seems the flood was used as a cover. Someone may have planned to take Zola away from Lindiwe. It wasn't a random event. It was a message to silence her. Someone wanted to hurt Lindiwe by taking her child. Now everything looks different. Lindiwe is no longer just a mother looking for her lost child. And Amale, who raised Zola with love, is no longer seen as a thief. Both women were hurt. Both women were used by people more powerful than them. Instead of being enemies, they are victims of something much darker and bigger. People begin to see this. The anger that was once aimed at Amale starts to fade. There is now sadness and understanding. The truth is painful, but it brings both women closer. They begin to respect each other's pain. They know neither of them caused this. Someone else did. Even the public starts to change. They stop pointing fingers. News headlines begin to tell a different version, one about broken systems and hidden crimes. And slowly, the focus moves from blame to healing. The day finally comes when everything must be decided. A judge will choose who gets to raise Zola now. Amale, the woman who raised her with love for 6 years, or Lindiwe, the woman who gave birth to her and searched for her all this time. The courtroom is full of people, reporters, lawyers, family members, all are watching closely. It is a day filled with tension, but also with hope. Everyone knows this is not a normal case. It's not about who is right or wrong anymore. It's about what is best for a little girl who has already gone through too much. Both Amale and Lindiwe take the stand. They do not speak with anger, they speak with love. Amale tells the court how she found Zola, how she cared for her, how she loved her like her own from the very first day. She admits she didn't do everything the legal way, but her heart was always in the right place. She didn't steal Zola, she saved her, she raised her, she gave her a life full of care. Then Lindiwe speaks. She talks about her years of pain, not knowing what happened to her child. She talks about the threats she got, about the night of the flood, and about the moment she found out Zola was still alive. She says she never stopped loving her daughter and never stopped looking for her. She doesn't hate Amale. She just wants a chance to be part of Zola's life again. The courtroom becomes quiet when Zola is brought in. She walks in slowly, nervous but brave. She sits in front of the judge and speaks softly but clearly. She says she loves both women. She says Amale is her mommy because she raised her, but she also wants to know Lindiwe, her other mommy. Then she says something that no one will ever forget. I want both my mums. I was never lost. I just didn't know how big love could be. There is silence. Even the judge takes a moment to wipe away a tear. The whole courtroom feels the weight of Zola's words. It's not about choosing one mother. It's about choosing love, family, and healing. The judge gives a final ruling. He does not give full custody to one person. Instead, he offers a rare solution: shared guardianship. Both Amale and Lindiwe will be Zola's mothers. They will co-parent. They will have to work together for Zola's happiness. It's not an easy decision, but it feels like the right one. The courtroom slowly fills with soft claps, nods, and even tears. Two women, who were once strangers, and even enemies, are now standing side by side, united by one child's pure and powerful love. The judge didn't choose just one mother. Instead, he made a decision that surprised many. He gave both Amale and Lindiwe the right to raise Zola together. It was called shared guardianship. This kind of decision doesn't happen often, but in this situation it felt right. Zola had two mothers who loved her deeply, and taking her away from either one would have caused more pain. So now Amale and Lindiwe had to learn how to be a team, for Zola's sake. In the beginning, it was not easy. Amale and Lindiwe didn't trust each other. There were long silences, small arguments, and moments when both wanted to walk away. Sometimes, it felt like they were too different to ever work together. But both women had something in common. They loved Zola more than anything in the world. That love gave them strength. They started going to counseling sessions together. At first, they didn't say much, but little by little they began to open up. They talked about their pain, their fears, and the heavy emotions they had carried alone for years. They cried, they apologized, and slowly they began to understand each other. It wasn't just about being fair, it was about healing. Zola too started to change. With both mothers in her life, she felt safer and more complete. She no longer had to choose between the woman who gave her life and the woman who raised her. Now she had both. One mom helped her braid her hair, the other packed her lunch for school. One sang her songs at night, the other helped her with homework. Zola was finally surrounded by love from all sides. The people around them began to see the change. Zola laughed more. She was more confident at school. Teachers noticed how her drawings changed, from sad faces to happy ones. She talked about my mums proudly, without confusion or fear. It was clear she felt loved, and that love gave her power. Amale and Lindiwe, once strangers holding on to pain, started becoming partners. They would call each other to plan Zola's week. They made sure she never felt left out or torn between two homes. They even started spending some weekends together as a unit, going to the park, watching movies, sharing meals. It was awkward at times, but with each small moment, they built trust. They created new traditions: Sunday picnics, storytelling nights, family journal writing. Zola started writing about how happy she felt. She would draw pictures of herself between two smiling women. That little book became proof of what love could do. Their lives were not perfect, but they were real. They still had tough days. Sometimes they argued or disagreed, but every time they came back together for Zola. And in doing so, they healed parts of themselves too. They were no longer just fighting for Zola. They were building a life with her, together. It was a bright morning at Zola's school. The hall was full of parents, teachers, and students, all excited for the end-of-year performance. Amale and Lindiwe sat together in the front row. They didn't hold hands or speak much, but they smiled at each other with quiet respect. Today wasn't just any school event, it was special. Zola was going to sing a song she had written herself. When Zola stepped onto the stage, a soft light followed her. She held the mic with both hands, took a deep breath, and looked out at the crowd. Her eyes found her two moms, sitting side by side. Then she began to sing her song, "The Day I Found My Voice." The lyrics were simple, but they touched every heart in the room. She sang about being lost, about fear, about confusion, but then she sang about love, healing, and how having two mums made her stronger. People in the audience wiped away tears. Amale and Lindiwe looked at Zola, their eyes filled with pride. In that moment, they didn't see the past. They saw their daughter standing tall, finding her own voice. Zola's voice was small but clear, and every word she sang was filled with truth. As the song ended, Zola smiled. The room went quiet for a second, then filled with applause. The screen slowly faded to black, and a voice said, "Sometimes love begins with silence, but the truth always finds its voice." It wasn't a perfect ending, but it was real, and it was full of hope. If this touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe For more powerful stories, drop a comment below. What would you have done in their shoes? And don't miss the videos on the end screen. You'll want to see what happens next. Thanks for watching.